I think I'm supposed to talk a little bit, yes? Guys, do you know the word procrastination? What does it mean? Do we have anyone that have no idea what the procrastination is? You have anyone? I will explain you later. You will get the idea, I hope so. Don't take it seriously. My profession, as I call it, procrastinatologist. It is a guy who deals with procrastination. And a couple of words about me. Initially, I was in IT since I was 13 years old. I have earned my first money by programming at the age of 13. And that is why some guys in IT conferences still invite me to their places. And from my young ages, I was very interested in the topic of procrastination. You know, this weird behavior when you are supposed to do something important, but you browsing 9gags or Stack Overflow or shit like this. So when I was procrastinating, I was thinking about procrastination itself. And as a result, in Russia, I have published a book recently, a Bible for procrastination. And maybe someday it will be, as you know, maybe someday it will be published in English. And I hope this year I will have on my site first chapters translated to English. So, to make a long story short, I will try to explain you what all this stuff is about. It is not about personal effectiveness. It is not about how to manage to accomplish more stuff, how to do more stuff, how to do quicker, all this stuff. Because in some cases, it also means to do less, but feel comfortable about this. And it is a kind of making your internal monkey your best friend. And so let me go forward and I will explain what our monkey is and what it is doing there. The basic assumption in procrastinatology in my book is about ourselves, how do we behave, how we are built from inside. And it is a first thing we should admit to make our life a little bit happier. And this assumption means that typically we are wrong about ourselves. It means that most of people, most of time, thank goodness not always and not everyone, we are irrational. So there are not too much logic in our behavior, in our doings. We are impulsive, because in most cases we are driven by something instant, not by even midterm goals or something like this. A lot of time we act unconsciously, and my favorite example of unconscious act is, you know, check my email or how much time is it or whatever, touch your smartphone. And finally, we do not consider this to be normal. I mean, all that one, because typically, we hope, at least sometimes, we hope that we are rational, logically thinking creatures, and in some cases, it leads to very funny behavior, like this. Do you familiar with this situation? Because typically, very often, we have to choose between something urgent or something important. Do you know this? Who typically prefer to do urgent? In this case. And who is wrong about yourself and think he would prefer important? Things are even worse. Because in most cases, in this choice, in this situation, when we are faced to the choice to do something important, really important, big important stuff that makes many sense in our life, or we have something small and urgent, we go do some simple and clear stuff instead. And that is the point of the main people or human psychology. When we choose among important or urgent, we prefer something simple. And in some cases, it leads to behavioral patterns like this. I should close the eyes of these guys so nobody guess who it is. So, This behavior has a very good explanation, and the best explanation I ever seen, was given by Tim Urban. Has anyone seen his TED Talk? Who has seen his TED Talk? Oh, not too much people. So, as far as I know, right now it's December, end of the year. Many of you have a lot of deadlines, some reports to make, some budget to create or something. So, definitely you would need something to procrastinate. So watching Tim Urban's video are the best things to procrastinate. And this guy is genius. He is able to explain very complex things by very simple means. And once he wrote a series of posts about mind of procrastinators. And last year he had a TED Talk. From Tim Urban's point of view, our head from inside looks as follows. We have some head space inside this. We have some control panel with nice sticks, buttons, gadgets. And also inside our head, we do have a rational decision maker, some character that responsible for our rational behavior. And one more guy, instant gratification monkey. And this character drives most of the time. He prefers to have a look on YouTube videos or just to check quickly what is the population of Estonia, for example, India. Might matters in most of our things that we do on daily basis. And it happens until another guy came to our head, and Tim Urban called this guy angel of any procrastinator. Without this angel, procrastinators would be dead. It is a panic monster. And this panic monster, something that comes to our head when we face to real danger. And panic monster is the only guy monkey afraid of. It quickly disappears, and we have a rational decision maker alone in our head. So that is why we became fully rational, fully concentrated on our task, what we do. And this model perfectly explains what the best source of inspiration for all of us is. The best source of inspiration is last-minute panic. I think you know this. And finally, when we thankfully done what we are supposed to do, we could promise to ourselves some shitty stuff. Do you know this? I will be studying from the first day of the next term. Typically, is what students say. But they don't, because the monkey goes back very quickly. As soon as panic monster leaves our head, it goes back. And I like this model. It's very fancy, it's very simple, and also maybe not so serious for real book. So I found another explanation that also is in very good correlation with what Tim Urban wrote. And this model came from a book by Daniel Kahneman. He got Nobel Prize in 2002, and this year, Richard Thaler, his colleague, I should say, also get a Nobel Prize in economy. But Daniel Kahneman mostly was a psychologist with initial education in mathematical statistics. And he had to explain a lot of stuff, a lot of weird stuff that happens in our heads. And he has perfect model, thinking model, how our mind works. And according to his model, our mind from inside looks approximately the same. I think so. According to Daniel Kahneman, we do have two thinking systems inside our brain. It is a logical division, not physical one. I hope you understand. All information that goes from our sensory organs goes to stuff like perception filters. I will talk about this a little bit later. Then it comes to system one, fast thinking system. System one quickly gets the response for information it gets and provide this response for review to system one or system two. System 2 is called, in Daniel Kahneman's book, lazy controller. So it can override this quick decision of System 1, but in most cases, it behaves like, lazy team leader when it gets a request for code review, especially in cases when a lot of files have been changed. Works fine, no comments. And this decision goes out of our head. So that is how it works. Let me show you a very old task that Daniel Kahneman was showing to his subjects and people for over than 30 years, just to observe how your mind search the solution. The task is quite simple. A bat and a ball together cost $1.10. The bat cost $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost?
5 cents.
I know. But who thought about 10 cents first? Usually it works that way. So we hear the question, how much does the ball cost? It goes to System 1, which immediately replies 10 cents. Then this response goes to System 2, and it says, no, wait, it is not so simple. And we started to think about this. Did it happen? Some people are too lazy to think, so they decide, 10 cents, okay, it works fine for me. But some doesn't. And if we are strong enough, if we are able to make this mental effort, we could easily calculate the right answer, 5 cents. Another example. A brick weighs 1 kilogram and a half of the brick. How much does the brick weigh? 1.5. So, did you have 1.5 first thing came to your mind from System 1? Usually it works that way. But then you just think a little bit and come to right answer, 2 kilograms. But to make things even worse, every time you override this decision made by System 1, you pay small price. You spend resource, I call it in my book, mind fuel. Some resource that we need to think, to change our first impulsive decisions. And to be honest, the situation is much more worse than just problems about bricks and balls and that's it. Because our life consists of a lot of pile of choices, pile of questions with fast answers and right one. And we have to pay a mind fuel to get the right answers. Typical example, I think a lot of you have been in this situation when you are asked, what would you like, a muffin or apple pie? And quickly you have an answer, a muffin or the pie, please, whatever. When the right answer is, oh, fuck, I'm on diet, actually. Do you know the same case? How you are going to pay by cash or by credit card? And fast answer goes from your head, by credit card. And then right one comes. Oh, I don't need this shit anyway. But transaction is completed. And that happens every time. And the main principle that I use in my book is that typically we have a plenty of time. We lack of mind fuel. And too much people moan that they have no time. They have no time for this, they have no time for that. But not too many people are brave enough to confess that they do not have mind. In most cases, we do. So what I'm going to share with you next is some basic rules how to save our mind fuel, because it's our main goal, I should say. Main goal to happiness, productivity, or whatever you want. Whatever you want. And today I would like to share 3 very simple, very specific hints that can help you to save your mind fuel, or that which can help you to cooperate with your instant gratification monkey. These three advice is so simple, so I would spend a lot of time to explain them in details. Otherwise, you are not going to believe me. First one, monkeyfy your task list. By the way, who has at least one task list for yourself? Who does not? Who relies on your memory? Some of you still rely. Okay, I will show you how bad it is. One more stuff is minimize distractions. I'll also explain why and what for. And final tip, execute tasks from the task list. I was surprised that I should explicitly write this advice, because in most people, I think it would be enough for people just to know that you should write your task in the list. And maybe I was hoping that they will get that at some point of time they should take a look at the list, decide what to do, and do. No, it rarely happens. It's like, letter to Santa Claus, because a lot of people have the same intention for a task list, like letter to Santa Claus. Dear Santa Claus, please let these tasks be done in first quarter, this in second quarter. So let me go deep in all that points. First point about task list monkeyfication. At the beginning, I should say something about reliability of our memory. And the bad news here is that we have a memory, at least working memory, in our brain. And due to unknown reasons, they feed this from the same mind fuel tank. And due to that fact, we are able either to think or to remember something. A task to remember something, just switch off our system too. And I will show you. I will show you because I'm sure you are not ready to believe me. Some guys who were watching my YouTube channel maybe know this experiment. So let me do this for other guys. What I'm going to ask you to do is, help me a little. I'm going to show you 6 digits for 2 seconds. Then I will hide these digits and I will ask you to say all that digit one by one as I wave my hand from left to right, like this. 5, 3, whatever. Let us try. I will show you 6 digits for 2 seconds, then I hide them and ask you to name all of them. It should be simple. It should be simple. Let us try.
6, 4, 5, 7, 5, 7.
Easy. I promised it will be easy. One more time. Let us play this game one more time.
5, 2, 7, 3, 1, 2.
Was it easy? It should so. Let us make the task a little bit more complex. Little bit, just a little bit. We will say not the number, but the result. Number plus 3. All we need to do just to add 3 to any digit. If you see 2, you say 5. If you see 8, for example, you say 11. It should be simple. Let us try. Let us try. And these guys are developing software. One more time. You see, it should be easy. Huh? Was it painful? It should. It should. Why it is painful? First exercise used only our working memory. That's not a problem. We can remember 6 digits with not too much effort, actually. But second one need both working memory and system too. And our tank of mind is not able to give mind fuel to both of them. so something struggles, or everything. So that is the main idea of having a task list, as you guess. Because as soon as your colleague asks you to remember something, for example, John, can you make me a report for me? Okay, I will remember this. As soon as you done this, you just divided your ability to think by twice. You remember another thing, you divide all your rest ability of think by twice again, and as soon as you remember 3 or maybe 4 somethings, 4 tasks, it's all you can do with your head. Immediately, bowl cost 10 cents. You prefer muffin, pay by credit card. Don't give a fuck about all that stuff. But to have a task list is not everything, because it matters a lot how do you formulate the tasks. What words do you use in your task list? Who does use Outlook, Microsoft Outlook? Oh, a lot of us. Who has something like this in a task pane in Outlook? Flags. And in some cases, people trying to explain that, but it is clear to me what I should do, whatever. But one thing we should know about task list, it is not a tool for our rational decision maker. It's not a tool for our rational side. It is a tool for our internal monkey. It should be clear to it, not to our rational decision maker. As soon as monkey faces something that requires a little thinking, it decides, I will come to it later. Because between urgent and important stuff, our monkey always selects what? Simple, clear and simple. And perfectly, if this is also fun. 3 criterions for perfectly monkeyfied task list. Every task in your task list shall minimize the procrastination gap. It will be 3rd level of nesting. I will explain what does it mean, procrastination gap. Typically, we do write one thing in our task list while we are supposed to do something else. Let me show you by example. Typically, we can write something, for example, send monthly report. But it is not what we are supposed to do, actually, because before we should compile the monthly report. Before to compile, maybe we are supposed to write email to the team asking for data and remind several hundred of times somewhere here in between. And the procrastination gap is a difference between what has been written to the task list and what we are supposed to do, actually. So here is procrastination gap. The higher the gap is, the higher the probability of procrastination due to unknown reason. It is a law of universe, fundamental one. Second thing is, do not forget to use a verb. Quite simple rule. A verb in your task list, but good verb. We have some finite set of good verbs like write, check, Google. In some case, Google it is also a verb. Buy, read, or something like this. And also, we do have bad verbs. I call them procrastinagens. The verbs, just take a look at all this. Research, analyze, create a plan, bring democracy to Cuba. Maybe all of these are good tasks, but them are not for our internal monkey. Because our monkey, as soon as it faces something like this, it decided to do something else, which is clear and simple. And it does it so not in order to ruin our life or career. No, it wishes all the best to us. But from its point of view, from its world of map of the world, monkey behaves in the only proper way. I will show you the monkey logic, and I hope you understand that it is very good character. It is not bad. As soon as a monkey finds something complex in your task list, it starts to think this way. See, what a complex task. I have to think. I have to think. I have to think. It means that I have to concentrate on it. What does it mean, concentration? It means that I shouldn't be distracted, thinks monkey, because right now it is correct. Yeah? What does it mean? I should have no distraction. And what distracts me the most? And you got the idea. All that small and important stuff that goes from there and there. So maybe it is quite logical to assume that I have to deal with all of them first. And that gives me ability to concentrate, to be fully focused, and deal with this complex task. So that is why your monkey, as soon as it sees something complex, it decided to go in different direction like this. So that is how it works. And going back to monkeyfication, third point is all tasks should require as less mind fuel or as less thinking as possible. It doesn't mean that all we are able to do is some simple monkey stuff. No. It means that we have to think a lot to think less a little bit later. And from some point of view, we can explain our working cycle like this. So we are supposed to have distinct phases when we are getting information, then reflect on it, think hard, and prepare guidelines, the task list, guidelines for monkey, and then we go to action. So it is productive cycle. I call it the monkey-tau cycle. It means that rational decision maker and the monkey should be in harmony, as you get. And these are fundamental pillars, fundamental things in Buddhist approach to education, actually. So it's everything about our task list. It should be with as less procrastination gap as possible, begin with a good verb, and require very little mind fuel. Example of a good formulation task list should look like this. Call Anne to ask if she is available on Monday instead of meeting. Or email George, ask him the case description instead of George, case description, or whatever we typically write. And also, maybe I should say a few words about tasks like this. Remind something to somebody. Because in most of cases, we do work in a team, and we ask someone to do something, and then, you know, in our world, it is normal to do not answer any emails. It's absolutely normal. So we should be ready for this. And I have a picture that goes from this task. I don't know if this pain is familiar to you, or maybe you are supposed to be on the other side. Sometimes it happens. What is the status of landing page design? How shit this landing page is done? Very good status. Some teams on their Scrum boards should have the separate columns. Holy shit, we decided to do it in last sprint. I should say something about distractions, about notification, about all that stuff. You know, in our world, very popular business model this time is by the way, I was studying English by watching South Park show. I love them very much. And Eric Cartman is my hero. But it is not the business model, actually, that very popular. Maybe this one is number one. Number two is that one. How do? They distract you, not giving a fuck about what you are doing at this time, steal your attention, show you an advertising, a banner, and collect the 2 cents from you. That's how it works. And I think it's more or less understandable why we should avoid notifications from social networks, from some mobile application, a lot of them, any of them. You don't need them, actually. But sometimes people do not believe that we do not need notification from corporate email, Slack, or some team chats, or whatever. The sad truth is that we are able to interact with different people either fast or in a smart way. We could quickly reply, or we are able to think. We are not able to think quick. And very important step to be productive. I've made 6 typos in Word instant. So it means most of you don't need them. I know that it's a very subtle point about notification, about quick reply, because anytime I give this advice to turn off all that notifications, I have to deal with another characters that live in our head. Cognitive bugs. Cognitive bugs. These are thinking patterns that might be not rational, not logical, but they have very strong influence on our behavior. And most commonly spread cognitive bug is this one. Why should I turn off this notification? I'm not distracted by them. Who does have this bug? Some of you does. So in our world, you're not distracted, I guess. In our world, we are not able to say, I'm distracted or I'm not distracted. Everything I could say is, I'm not aware of any distractions. And right now, I'm going to explain you a little experiment which was described in a book by Leo Mlodinov in his perfect, nice, fascinating book, Subliminal. Experiment was quite simple. They took some subjects and put them in fMRI. Do you know this? fMRI is stuff that in real time can show which part of the brain is active and intensivity of this activity. So they put a live human being inside fMRI and start to show them pictures. Pictures like puppies, kitties, butterflies, something like this. And then for 20 or 30 milliseconds, they showed something dangerous, like tiger, like monkey, and then again, puppies, butterflies, kittens. Then they took a subject and asked, have you seen something dangerous there? They say, no, there are only puppies, kitties, butterflies, flowers, nothing dangerous. So on logical level, they do not show any signs of seeing something frightened. But fMRI cannot be wrong. It clearly shows that part of the brain called amygdala, which is responsible for fight-or-flight reactions, it has enough time during that 20 milliseconds to recognize potential danger and start to activate, start to prepare body for fight-or-flight reaction. So what I want to say here, maybe it's not a problem. You're not able to say that I'm not distracted by these notifications. You are not aware of how you are distracted by this. Actually, another point, another cognitive bug that plays against of turning notification off says, but there might be something urgent. Who does have this bug? Yeah, there might be something urgent, sure. And there is one more stuff about urgent tasks. Do you know this situation? Have you ever been in this case? Let me explain. At the beginning of the day, you come to your workplace, get the list, right. I will do this task, and maybe this one. Then something strange happened. You awake deep at the evening, terribly tired, and nothing had been done. For some of us, it's how all the life looks like. The idea and the reason behind this pattern is quite simple. We are not distracted by urgent tasks. We are distracted by tasks that we perceive as urgent. And what Buddhist people say for over than 25 centuries is this: we don't see things in the way they are. Just don't. Let me explain by another example. It is very old Müller-Lyer illusion known to humankind for about 2 centuries. Do you see this line a little bit longer than top one? But they are similar. Ah, no. This one longer. Ah, no. Again, similar. How it works? Our sensory organs perceives some basic information, and then our mind quickly, automatically, unnoticeably gets a new layers of meaning behind this information. For example, our eyes, they can read color and shape. Our ear perceive frequency and amplitude. And other stuff, meanings, are quickly created by our minds. Our eyes perceive just color and shape. And everything else is built by your mind. Quite simple. What do you see there? It is a logo of dancing school. And you know, if an image has some unambiguity in this, brain would not let us know. They say it is not a joke. They say it's real logo. Stick in this, I know. But these are quite simple shapes. And all that meanings was quickly created, unnoticeably quick, had been created by your mind. And you see how we could incorrectly interpret these simple images. We have experience of looking for more than 16 hours a day since we were maybe 2 months old. We have a huge experience. But some concepts like urgency, importance, they have a huge mistake, huge biases in there. And there is another idea, I call it bonus for perception, or perceived importance bonus. And it is based on what called by Daniel Kahneman a focusing illusion. Some day ago, Kahneman wrote that nothing in life is as important as you think it is while you are thinking about this. Everything that lies in our brain, or in our memory, it feels, perceives as much more important due to bonus. As soon as you come to your workplace and start to write down all your tasks to the list, they leave your brain, and them are living in the list only. And they have some importance, just plain importance. But if something goes directly to your mind via notification, via email, chat, or whatever, it also have some plain importance, but due to the fact that it is still stored in your working memory, it receives some bonus. And we are not able to perceive all that components in a separate way. We can feel all of them all together. So here is the mechanic how not so important stuff can be perceived as more importantly than really more important things. So I think you can understand what should we do to avoid this situation. The only way to avoid this is next stuff. Execute tasks from your list. Quite simple. So that is why it's another reason we are supposed to have a task list. Not only to help our memory, but also to avoid this perceived importance bonus illusion. Because we are not distracted by urgent tasks. We are distracted by those tasks that we perceive as important. And we do not see things in the way they are. It's quite simple. And as soon as you decide to do tasks only from your task list, what happens? Imagine a situation, some new task came to your mind via email or Slack or whatever, you start to feel it's so important and you are eager to do it right now. But if you try to write it down first and then try to do it immediately, no problem, you can do this. As soon as you try to write them down, you take a look at all other tasks in your list. They go to your mind quickly, especially if all of them are monkeyfied, quite simple to understand. They go to your memory. They immediately get this perception bonus, and comparison would be more fair, I should say. So here are 3 quite simple rules that might or might not help you to be a little bit more productive. But actually, it is not all the true. I was not going to tell you all the true at once, due to some other reasons. And these points are very simple, but it is not too simple to make these points your behavior, actually. And to help you, to assist you with this stuff, I can share a link to my site, procrastinatology.com. Right now, there are a few webinar videos that I store them, upload there. And you can take a look and see some hints that might help you to make these quite simple things to become your behavior. Because there are no correlation between simplicity of any device and reliability of this. Quite simple stuff is might be very complex to make your behavior. And here I have my favorite example from boxing, if you know. Yes, any boxer knows that we should not close our eyes when a punch is coming. It's very straightforward, very simple advice. But knowing this doesn't make you a good boxer. It doesn't make you to keep your eyes open when you see a punch. You have spent much more time than just understand this advice. So, and this link, I think it has some other ideas, like do not close your eyes when a punch is coming, that might help you a little bit. I hope so. If not, you can anytime just drop me an email, and I'm still helping to any procrastinators in the world as far as I can. So at this point, I think it might be reasonable to go to questions. Let me say thank you, and what else?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we have some time for questions. So I'll start with the most voted one. How to monkeyify team goals?
How to monkeyify whom?
Team goals.
Team goals. Quite simple. Think. In my book, I have very simple advice. In any unclear situation, just think. It helps. That is why we're trying to save mind fuel. In most cases, our life consists of contains a lot of questions like this. Questions that have no general answer. But any specific case is more or less simple if you think. So just think in any unclear situation. That is what we are trying to save our mind fuel.
Okay, more questions. So, how to ignore email notifications and not treat them as important if your manager keeps asking for an answer?
How to ignore notifications? Just turn them off, and them will be ignored automatically. Another point is how to ignore manager.
Yeah.
We shouldn't ignore manager, but if think, it's not so simple case. Yeah, if it deserves interruption, I think proper manager will just come and interrupt you. But in some cases, a lot of questions can wait for a while. For an answers. They call it asynchronous communication. They put you an answer to your inbox, and when you are able to answer, you just create an answer and send them back. And another point is why manager could came to you because it is a not straightforward game. If you have very bad track records answering emails, so maybe you deserve, if the email more or less important, nobody sent an important emails, if email is more or less important, manager immediately knowing your bad track record of answering emails will send you email and go to you directly. But it is not a question of manager, it is a question of your reliability and how often you forgot to answer emails. I think so.
So how do you explain it to your manager anyway? So there is a manager asking for something, you say, hey, sorry, I can't really reply you just in time because it impacts my productivity. So
what does it mean just in time?
I mean, immediately there is some email hits your mailbox and it's marked urgent, important, and you have to somehow explain to your manager that it doesn't really, it's not that urgent, kind of. Maybe how to run this kind of conversation?
In case of teamwork, it might be more or less acceptable to distinguish really important stuff and not really important stuff by a special sign. In some cases it doesn't work because no one would like to confess that he writes unimportant emails. But in some cases it might work. Just decide on your retrospective or whatever that if you need something that should be answered immediately, just put that sign, important sign. And you can create a rule that will show you this notification in case of this sign is applied to this email.
Okay,
make an exception.
Okay, good. So another question, quite interesting. There is a saying, all work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy. If you have to overcome your procrastination and found yourself dull, how to recover back? Let's ask this question.
Maybe you can give an example or a little bit of explanation to this.
Okay, everyone is stuck. Maxim is stuck, the question is stuck. Okay.
We should not get rid of the monkey. We should not. We should live in harmony with all our cognitive bugs, with our monkey and rational decision maker. Rational decision maker will not survive alone without monkey. He is too weak. He is smart but weak. But monkey is strongest character in our head. And it is very useful. It wishes all the best to us. But it is stupid, kind of. It needs assistance. But we should not get rid of them. I think we have mind fuel for not more than 2 hours a day. And all other time we are monkeys. So we should admit this state. We should be in love with our monkey. We shouldn't get rid of it. Okay, good. Doesn't writing a to-do list makes our memory worse? Because mindful storage even smaller. So because if we don't train our brain, our capacity decrease. We are becoming dumber. Good idea. Yes, very good question. If remembering our tasks is the only thing that we are using our memory for, maybe it will be declined. But if just by some strange coincidence we use our memory for something else, I think it will not. But if it's only for a task list, maybe it will struggle.
Okay, another question. How to avoid the task list to grow too big?
Quite simple. Task list became very long when you write more than you delete from it. Quite simple. In some cases, you should. I know a lot of people who has task lists with 100 of tasks, 200 of tasks. In this case, actually, more than a half is rubbish. Duplicates or that are not actual anymore. Just spend 10 minutes and clean them. Just delete what you don't need anymore. And another point is do not forget to do something from this list and cross out. Sometimes it helps. In some cases, things are a little bit more complicated than this. In some cases, we give too much promises, too much commitment, because it is typically for a human being to overestimate our abilities. We could get more commitments than we are able to handle. In these cases, we should say, sorry, I wouldn't do this, and just ignore some part of these tasks. So,
okay, is there an application to monkeyify your task list?
what should I install to my smartphone to live happier life? Good idea. No. There are a lot of applications that can help you to store already monkeyified task list, but no application that can monkeyify. And I don't believe it is possible to create such an application, because as soon as someone develop this application that can monkeify the tasks for you, you will moan and you will regret it immediately, because you became a pure monkey with no rational decision maker. Here we have to think a little, monkeyify tasks, write them down, then read them and do them. In some cases, sometimes we work as a rational guys, and sometimes we work as a monkey. And as soon as we have some application that can automatically monkeyify tasks for us, in somebody else's interest, that's not our, of course. I know that there are a lot of companies that wish this application made by them, actually. But as soon as we have this application, or if we have, we wouldn't need our rational side anymore. So we would be a monkey. So there are no any applications.
Do you use any applications? Like, how do you manage your task list personally?
Sure, I do have an application. It is a quite common question. What application we should use to manage everything to complete? It doesn't matter what application you use, actually. I have my application, but I know successful people who do use some paper stuff, and it doesn't make them worse than me too much. So it doesn't matter what application do you use. What actually matters is how do you formulate these tasks and how frequently do you look at this application. It matters. But anyway, a lot of applications, we have a pile of applications available on App Store and Google Play. All of them are rubbish, but in different senses. There are no ideal application anyway. All of them bad. But if we do everything correct, it doesn't matter to us. It doesn't affect us too much.
Okay, so you can catch Maxim after the talk, so let's have a break. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you.